And on Starliner's last flight, we landed at night in the darkness. So this will really be the first time we'll have daylight views of the spacecraft after it re-enters and under the canopy of its parachute. So it'll be a real sight for our teams there and for folks across the country. Our first time really to see Starliner coming down in broad daylight.
We also heard that the crew on board the International Space Station is going to be watching landing. They, of course, spent some quality time with Starliner since it docked to the station on May 20th and saw it off earlier today. That's Sergei Korsakov, Oleg Artemyev, Denis Matiev, and Chel Lindgren, Bob Hines, Jessica Watkins, and Samantha Cristoforetti. Once again, receiving data from the Starliner now that it's passed through that plasma buildup. Everything going well as it makes its way across this track that you can see, heading towards a landing in the New Mexico desert. Teams on the ground reporting good trajectory.
And there are our very first shots of Starliner from the WD-57.
Starliner's still got about 8 minutes left in this flight and hasn't even begun deploying its heat shield yet. That'll start here in just the next few minutes. Still about 3 minutes away before the first parachutes begin to deploy, and of course before that we'll see the forward heat shield come off. But everything going well. Teams here on the ground seeing good data. And hopefully we'll get a better and better view as it gets closer.
And that shot there on the left side of your screen now from the ground tracker. So we have two views now of Starliner as it makes its final approach to its landing zone there in White Sands, New Mexico.
And the team here in Mission Control reporting that they've heard from the landing and recovery teams that they're also seeing Starliner. They'll have, of course, the front row seats, but we'll try and piggyback on that with these views that we're getting.
We are just under 7 minutes away from landing.
Switching back to this graphic for just a moment as we wait for the forward heat shield deploy.
And we are starting to get a more clear view of Starliner now. We should be seeing the forward heat shield deploy here pretty quickly. And the forward heat shield has now jettisoned. That heat shield protected the spacecraft through those thermal loads during re-entry. And drogues are out.
2 drogue parachutes slowing Starliner's speed and drag. They're going to reef to a wider opening and slow Starliner down enough for the main chutes to deploy in less than a minute. Main parachute deploy just about 30 seconds away. View here from the ground tracker.
And mains are now out. We see 3 parachutes coming out here. Starliner has another 8,000 feet toward the landing. Those 3 parachutes are starting to inflate now. You can see them right there on your screen.
And the main parachutes are reefing open right there, continuously slowing Starliner down.
3 good main parachutes, looking good.
Starliner will be drifting down for another 2.5 or so minutes before it makes its touchdown, but all going smoothly. And we didn't just hear the rotation handle was released. That will help level out the capsule before touchdown.
And there goes the base heat shield right there in front of you. It just jettisoned. You can see it falling away from the spacecraft. It will reveal the airbags that will cushion Starliner's landing. And those airbags are now inflating. Starliner is 2 minutes, 40 seconds from landing. Actually closer to 2 minutes now. You can see those airbags right there on your screen, fully inflated, looking good.
Those will come in real handy when we have crew on board for the crew flight test of Starliner in a few months. Help ensure that the crew gets a nice, soft touchdown.
And those bags are filled with nitrogen as they guide Starliner safely back to the desert floor. Flight controllers here in the room reporting good airbags. Everything going exactly how we want to hear it. We are just coming up on about 1 minute away from touchdown there in White Sands, New Mexico.
Exact touchdown time will vary a little bit depending on the winds at the landing site, but everything's going smoothly. And I bet the teams there at the landing site are enjoying this view. Continuing to see views from the ground trackers on site in New Mexico. Just seconds
left. You can see
left.
the mountains coming into frame there. We're getting very close to the ground. And touchdown, Starliner. We're touching down in the desert of New Mexico, marking the completion of Orbital Flight Test 2. And that touchdown coming at 5:49 p.m. Central Time, almost exactly 6 days into the mission. Just a beautiful touchdown in White Sands this evening. Our landing recovery teams will now wait for clearance before making their way to the vehicle. And we can hear some clapping and cheering in the other room.
Some of those live looks as we get closer to the crew module. And then preceding that, we have the green team who will provide ground cooling to the vehicle, which is really important to keep those crew tanks safe from overheating. And then we have the red team who is mainly made out of the Boeing medical personnel. And then we have the hatch opening and then any of the cargo removal. Again, we're driving pretty slowly. We're heading to the crew module at an upwind direction. And this is to keep the team safe and away from any potential hazards as we approach. Again, the crew module uses a hypergolic propellant that when it does turn into vapor, it can be very toxic. So we take that very seriously. Safety is the number one